Hey, and good morning, everybody. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast, and we're coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. I want to welcome everybody this morning to the show. Got some interesting things going on. We've been doing a lot of reconfiguring. Hopefully, we'll try to get the studio as we'll probably clean up behind me here because I know a lot of people have been complaining already. They're saying, Sherman, your place is a mess. But what it is I actually have a lot of books. We have a lot of books. You do a lot of reading. That's kind of the way it is. So today on the show, we're going to talk a little bit about listening, and this is going to be a tough one because nobody wants to listen. That's it. So I'm going to have you all listen to me about listening, and I guess that's just the way it'll be. So what is Black Success Magazine podcast? Well, we highlight the people, the places, and the trends to feed your mind, your body, and your spirit. Heard all over the place. Matter of fact, folks, I found out yesterday? We didn't even upload our podcast. So we recorded our podcast because we do this live. And, and then after we do some editing, we actually upload the podcast itself, the audio portion of the podcast. And so we upload that. And I was looking on the computer and I went, oh my gosh, we did not even upload the podcast. And you just can't do that because people are looking for it. People are saying, hey, we want an update, a daily update of what's going on. And the reason why that happened is because we're planning a golf tournament. And the golf tournament got called by the coordinator that we've got a coordinator and the golf course itself. And I had to go down there yesterday to go check out facilities. It was a great meeting, though. So the good thing about it was we had a great meeting. We met with some really neat people. And so, everything worked out great. But, so when we got back in, found out that the podcast had not been uploaded. So today we're going to talk about listening and how important it is to listen. This is coming from a book I'm writing, and it's called How to Live a Truly Remarkable Life. And listening is one of the chapters. It is just one of the most important chapters in the book because you can learn a lot. And I know a lot of you probably are saying to yourself, well, sure, I know it all. So why should I have to listen to anybody? But there are some things that are a must if you are going to be successful. It's important that you actually practice this skill, that you learn this skill, that you practice, you learn, you practice, you learn, and you get it down because it's invaluable. I mean, it really is. It's almost like, and we'll get into it a little bit more as we go, but it's akin to actually having perception. And what would your life be like if you had no perception? If you couldn't perceive anything, which means, you couldn't actually tell the difference between things and get information from things, your life you wouldn't be able to walk. You wouldn't be able to walk, wouldn't be able to talk, that kind of thing. So that's what we're going to talk about today as we grab another cup of coffee. We're going to talk about 6 keys to becoming a better listener, the value of and why we listen. And I think that's probably going to be even more important is why we actually listen. And so that's kind of a setup to where we're going to be going today. And if you like the podcast, if you've heard if you like what you've heard over the last few weeks that we've been doing this, really encourage you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our podcast, share our podcast with people. Go to our website, which is blacksuccessmagazine.com, and you can actually read more articles on what we're doing. We're doing all kinds of things. We're writing a book. We've got a magazine coming out in just a few weeks. If you'd like a copy of the magazine, a digital copy of the magazine, just send us an email at blacksuccessmagazine@gmail.com. It's blacksuccessmagazine@gmail.com, and we'll get as soon as it's out, the digital copy is out. And I think it'll be something that you're gonna really enjoy. So after the break, like I said, we are going to delve into how to listen, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So this is Sherman Wright, Black Success Magazine, the podcast, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Just so that you can see it. Mother Nature speaking is all to me. Find out the ways to believe it.
All right. Yeah, I'm starting to get digging this this kind of format here. What is it doing to y'all? All right. Folks, let's get back to the show here. I know if you're enjoying this, and if you are, just let your friends know. Let everybody know about this great show that we've got going on here. And we're going to probably work on our lighting just a little bit more because I just don't have enough lighting here to make the camera pop a little bit more. But we'll get that. All right. Now let's go back to the show. All right. You ready? Here we go. And we are back, folks. This is Sherman Wright, Black Success Magazine podcast. And we're talking a little bit about, or the show's going to be really about listening and learning how to listen. This is probably going to be one of those lessons where, I think listening, the art of listening, people think it's an old man's thing. Only old men listen to people because young people, they do. That's really what we do. We do things, but there are some of the richest people, the most remarkable people have become very skilled listeners. As a matter of fact, there was a study that says that people who listen more, or if you're a communicator, communicators listen more than they speak. And why is that? The reason why is because you get data from people. When you're sitting there and you're having a conversation with people, what normally happens is you're listening and you're kind of you're not even really listening. You're waiting. You're waiting to hear. You're waiting for an opening so you can say what you're saying. So you're kind of cruising along. Somebody else is having a conversation. They might be talking about their dog, their cat, their whatever they ate for lunch. Excuse me. Whatever they ate for lunch or whatever. And you're just waiting for them to stop so you can say what you're going to say. Because most people are just kind of very egocentric. I mean, they really are. You can always tell somebody who's very egocentric because they just talk infinitum. They'll start a conversation and you won't be able to get a word in edgewise. It's as though they've been waiting all day long, like their life they've been getting beat up all day long. So when it's time for them to speak, they're just going to run on. And it's like you take that, mini bike or that lawnmower, and you pull that ripcord, and then all of a sudden, this person just goes. They've got so much on their minds and about what they're doing and how they feel and all the stuff that's so cool in their lives that they flying fig about you. That's a really, it's kind of a bad sign. It's a sign that person is really feeling very vulnerable, that they just, they need to be validated. The great is waiting patiently. They're kind of sitting around and they're going, well, you know what, I'm getting what you're saying. I'm nodding. And you're not just nodding as you're nodding off, you're not doing this because a lot of husbands do this. They kind of just nod, yes, honey, yes, honey. I'm waiting for you to stop saying, yes, honey, yes. They're waiting for you to stop so they can leave the room and go, because they've been thinking about a beer the whole time. But that's not a great communicator. A great communicator, a great listener is somebody gathering data. As you're speaking, they're actually making notes. If they had a pencil and a pen, they would actually be writing it down because they want to get what is going on with you. They really want to understand what's going on with you because as they're going to speak at some point, if they speak at some point, they're going to say something that is going to actually just continue on the conversation. They're going to say something that's going to just really be impactful. They're not just waiting for you to shut up so they can go in a totally different direction. You ever heard those conversations before where somebody, you're saying something about, your glasses or whatever, and all of a sudden they talk about, their trip to California. And you go, what the heck did that have to do with anything? I mean, I was just telling you about my glasses, and now you're talking about your trip to, Sacramento or something like that. And you can tell somebody's just checked out on you. They've checked out on you, and they really kind of give a flying fig about you. Great communicators, really remarkable people, because you wonder how all of a sudden they're able to use the stuff that they've taken from this conversation and that conversation and that conversation to do something down the road. And you're going, how the heck did this? Well, they've been listening. They've been doing more than nodding. They've been listening. Listening is an art. It is not something that we do and it comes natural to us. It is really something you have to practice. And we're going to talk about that a little later when we get into this a little bit more. But when we come back, we're going to actually talk about 6 keys to becoming a better listener, because this is your benefit. It's for everybody else's benefit. And I think you're going to learn something from this. So this is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. We'll be back with keys to becoming a better listener when we come back in just a minute.
Shopping, or even just a friendly smile. Show your kindness now. Head to where'syourhead@.org/pledge kindness.
This is Jazz FM with traffic and travel news coming next.
What's going on, Stace?
Just trying to find the best deals on the shopping essentials.
You know I love a great deal.
Oh, speaking of great deals, have you seen this?
Mine's lowest price guarantee. It says here, Stace, that if we book now, we'll pay the lowest price for our Butlins holiday. So even if their price goes down, Butlins will refund us the difference. We can't lose.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get booking.
Book early for your Butlins 2021 break with our lowest price guarantee. Are you ready to Butlins? Offer excludes dining packages.
Jazz FM, traffic and travel.
Up to a 50-minute delay anti-clockwise M25.
All right. Almost there, folks. We'll be back in a second.
Between 6 Junction 5, caused by an earlier breakdown. 40-minute delay southbound M5 near Bristol. There's a lane closure junctions 19 to 20. M48 Southern Bridge closed because of the strong winds. North M6 Staffordshire 40-minute delays because of a breakdown between Stafford and Stoke.
All right, let's go back to the show.
40 to 15. Eastbound M8 North Lanarkshire, that's closed junction 684A. Westbound M8 North Lothian, that's closed from junction 4A.
All right, let's head back to the show, folks. Here we go. And folks, this is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast, and talking a little bit today about being a better listener and how to become a better listener. Black Success Magazine is really all about you, folks. We highlight the people, the places, and the trends to feed your mind, your body, and your spirit. You can hear us on the podcast all over the place. We're on Anchor FM, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Google Cast, and on Breaker right now. We keep getting more and more sponsors. If you'd like to sponsor the show, folks, we would really we encourage you. Send us an email at blacksuccessmagazine@gmail.com. We always love sponsors, and we'd love to highlight your business on our podcast. Love to have that. Also, if you would like a copy of the digital magazine, Black Success Magazine, the November issue, we were going to actually put it out in October. We're going to actually push that back a few weeks, just because we've got so many things going on. We really do. And now that the country is opening back up, especially here in Las Vegas. Las Vegas, we're actually opening up a little bit more. Governor Sisolak basically said, hey, you can actually have larger gatherings. So we're able to do a little bit more, which we're very excited about, which means that we're having to kind of change things. Kind of everything's on the fly right now. And so, we just kind of roll with the punches, I guess, and we just let everybody know. Plus, we've got a golf tournament going on. I mean, and the cool thing about the golf tournament is we have about 50, 60 players that are going to be in the golf tournament with us this year. It's our first year that we're having a golf tournament. And, some cool people, and we have challenges, smoking cigars, talking and just doing some really cool things, networking with some really high level people here in the city of Las Vegas. So we see a group of guys yesterday. I'm with my coordinator yesterday, Lazel. Lazel's with one of the banks here in Las Vegas. And so Lazel and I and her husband, Max, are getting ready to leave the clubhouse after hanging out with the coordinator or the manager of the golf course and assistant manager. So we've been hanging out, finding out what we're going to be doing and what our people are going to be doing, that kind of stuff, the longest hole. And we see these four guys that are sitting over in the out in the patio area, and we could hear them. I mean, these guys are laughing, laughing, that kind of stuff, just having a great time. And so Lazel says, well, we should ask them if they want to play, because we've got a golf tournament in another week or so. You never know; these guys might want to play in our golf tournament. I said, well, heck, might as well, right? So, and that's kind of what we do. We will actually go out of our way. And I'm not fearful of pretty much anything, especially if it's a face-to-face conversation. I'll definitely walk up to anybody, and that's kind of the way I've been my entire life. Just kind of get out there, make a phone call, call a president here, or do something like that. And it's really served me very well. All these. Oh, you should write a chapter in the book, Remarkable People. Pick up the phone. So we walk over to the guys, and we start, and we got our masks on. They're laughing still in the middle of the conversation. We break into their conversation. And I say to the guys, hey, guys, I hear you guys play here all the time. Well, to make a long story short, we found out. Now, these are older cats. They're probably in their 70s. And, you can tell they're retired guys, because they got big smiles on their faces, right? Big smiles on their. And they go, well, we don't play here all the time, but we do play 2 or 3 times a week. So they're definitely retired guys. They're happy. The only thing they're missing is a cigar, right? And it's like, 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And they basically say, yeah, we don't play here all the time, but we do play. Make a long story short, folks. These guys have said we would like to adopt your group as one of the benefits of our group. This one chance meeting with these 4 guys basically turned into an opportunity for us to become partners with these guys, because we have 50, 60 people in our group. They have 70 people, and they've been doing a tournament they're doing a tournament, and they have 70 people in their tournament. They said, hey, we like you already because of what you're doing and the things that we're saying. I know I'm kind of truncating this whole conversation, but sometimes you got to get out of the box and find out what people are doing in order to get to where you want to go. I know we missed. We will get back to the listening thing here, folks, in just a second. So this is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. We'll be back in just a second. All right. So I know we missed it here, but I'll tell you the rest of the story in a second, folks. Okay? I really will. Let's take a break. All right, so I'm going to tell you the story because for the podcast, this will not be on the audio or only portion of the podcast. This will be, but for you folks who are on Google, or excuse me, on YouTube. So we meet these guys, and the guys basically say, hey, we like what you're doing as an organization because we work with business owners. I mean, that's my thing. I work with business owners, encouraging them, mentoring them, moving them along, and helping them scale their businesses. And these guys were basically saying, look, we like what you're doing. And we're having a meeting. They invited me to speak at their meeting, which is our tournament is on the 12th, theirs is on the 17th. So I'm already going to speak in front of their membership. It should be 70 guys, 70 golf players. So I don't know if you know this. Golf players generally are fairly, they generally have done pretty well in their life. Because if they can go to a tournament, costs them maybe $150, $200 or something like that. So they have disposable income. They are very likable guys. They've done well for themselves. So they can see a great opportunity. And these guys specifically wanted me as an organization, to come to their meeting to tell them that they should support us as an organization. And we were invited to do that. We didn't have to ask these guys. They were saying they were looking for an organization for them to adopt as a beneficiary of what they're doing. You know what? I should record all of this. Well, I mean, it's recorded right now, but there is so much out there that you don't realize. There are people out there that are looking for you to be a beneficiary of what they have done in their lives, but they don't know where you're at, because you might be sitting at home, you might be doing this, you might be doing that, but they are looking for you. So don't be surprised if somebody walks up to you and says, "Hey, you know what? We'd like to give you $1 million." But it won't happen if you're not available, if you're not looking for it. We were looking for it. As a matter of fact, we approached them and they said, "Hey, we like you. We like what you're doing." So that worked out really well. Anyways, let's get back to the show, folks. And that's a little something. Okay. So this has been Sherman. Let's go back to the show. Here we go. Oh. Almost lost it on that one. Okay, and we are back, folks. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. While we were in break right there, I was talking to the folks on YouTube Live. If you'd like to see, a little bit more about what we're doing over at Black Success Magazine, the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel, which is Black Success Magazine. And during the breaks, I often share things with the folks that are watching on YouTube, and so. Things that will not be on the audio only, because it's just time constraints. We just can't. I could ramble on, folks. I do this all day long. I can talk all day. I mean, really, I can. So if you'd like to check out even more an extended audio of the podcast, go to our YouTube channel, which is Black Success Magazine, and it'll be in the live, because we do this live, and you can check it out. So why is listening critical? We were talking about being a better listener. When you approach a conversation, and this is from Fast Company, so they put this out. Who wrote this article? Because this was actually a pretty good article. Stephanie Vozo, she wrote this article a while ago. She says, "Well, why is listening critical? When you approach a conversation thinking only of your own agenda, your goal is to maneuver and manipulate the conversation and to come out better than the other person. This is interesting. I might influence you to buy or act, but the probability that I get any surprisingly new data is close to zero. I'm thinking that the conversation is about me, or it's about me controlling you. Neither are great conversation starters." So once again, we talked about this before. You're not going to gain any new data. You're not going to get any new information. That's why it's so critical that you actually listen to somebody, because then you're finding out. I mean, as you're listening, you're just kind of going, "Okay, I get it." So the wife, kids, the car, the house, the vacation, the broken leg, I get it. You're getting the emotions of it. Where are they at? This helps the conversation. But if you're just sitting there kind of saying, "Okay, yeah, okay, shut up. Okay, now me." Like we were saying, that mini bike or that lawnmower, and you're just kind of going on. The other person shuts down. You didn't gain anything by that. Sometimes you have to you just got to step back. It's not always about you. The conversation isn't always about you, so you've got to kind of feel that way. Let's talk a little bit about, because I'm going to run out of time here, and I don't want to run out of time. Let's talk about 6 keys to becoming a better listener. Okay? Learn to listen and not be polite. Okay, learn to listen and not be polite. Listening is not about being polite. Okay, Mom said, don't speak when other people are speaking. That's not it. listening is actually a skill, and listening is there to gain data. It's to find out what's going on with the other person. It's to gain insight into what's going on from the speaker. You can't just speak over other people and expect that to work out. It just doesn't work out that way. Number two, quiet your agenda. Quiet your agenda for a minute. Once again, we were talking about this earlier, is that a lot of times what you're doing is you're just saying, okay, I know you're saying something and I don't know what you're saying, but I've got an agenda. I want to sell you something. I want you to do something. I want to control you, something like that. And you can't, you've got to learn to quiet that. You go into a conversation and you know what? Sometimes you just have to say, okay, it's really not about me. It's not about me making the sale. It's not about me pushing you in a direction or making you act a certain way. It's not about my agenda. There will be a chance for me to do this, but it won't do that. And the door will not open to that if you are always trying to push your agenda. You're like a fire hose. Call those people fire hose people, right? They care less. And you know they care less about you. So people can tell you have an agenda. And they're not going to buy from you. They're not going to act for you. They're not going to let you control them because they can already see you got an agenda. You're not here to listen to me. You're not even going to let me have a cigarette after this. You won't even give me money for a phone call. I know it sounds terrible that way, but that's basically what it is. When we come back, we will talk about 4 more keys to learning how to listen. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, and we'll be back in just a minute. All right. Folks, we're running out of time here. Things go so quick around here. I'm never going to get to all the stuff I want to talk about here today. Huh. Well, I've got YouTube is going around telling everybody. We really encourage you folks, if you like the show, tell everybody about it. Say, hey, Sherman's, his show's on, and we're probably going to put this up on Facebook. We'll probably put it up on Facebook Live so that people can, watch the podcast. Because we'll go, 30 minutes, 45 minutes or something like that with you folks. And people like it. I mean, they really like it. It's really impactful. I believe it's going to speak to people's souls. Okay? All right. Let's do a little bit more. Just about 4 more points. All right. All ready to come back? Here we go. Oops. Got clickers everywhere here, folks. All right, and we are back, folks. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. And we really appreciate everybody being here on the podcast today. I can't tell you how much I'm excited about it. We actually just started a new Instagram page, too. So we have Black Success Magazine, our Instagram page, which is great. It's just blowing up, I'm very excited about that. Thank you so much. But I started my own Instagram account because there's things that I just personally talk about that I think you'd like. So if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, it's Sherman A. Ray. So Sherman A. Ray. And you can check us out on Instagram. I just started this morning. So just maybe one or 2 posts on it. But we'll build that up pretty soon. So Black Success Magazine or Sherman A. Ray. And you can actually check us out. So let's talk a little bit more about 6 keys to becoming a better listener. Tip number 3, key number 3, ask more questions. Asking more questions, there's great ways of, and we won't go into all of the ways of asking questions, but there are really great ways and techniques you can use to ask more questions, to get more answers. Have you ever asked somebody, do you like the color blue? Yes. Do you like the color red? Yes. Did you walk here today? Yes. Closed-end questions. Okay, you don't want to ask those questions. You want to ask questions. And why do you do that? And I'll give you an example. How do you feel about the color red? How do you feel about the color blue? How do you feel about walking here today? Those are open or wide. So how, who, why, what, those kind of questions. Those are called open-ended questions. And what they do is they get people to start talking. Instead of yes and no answers, which stop the conversation, stop data collection, you want to ask questions that are open-ended, which elicit response. You want more questions because you're here gathering data. You're really trying to get into what that person is saying. That's being a good listener. And really, people will tell you. I mean, well, if you ask them, who's your favorite, who and why is your, and why is your favorite singer, who, they'll tell you. I mean, because now they go, wow, you really care about me. Tip number 4, pay attention to your talk listen ratio. Okay. So I know some of you are probably thinking, well, if I go into a conversation, when am I going to be able to talk about me, about what I'm doing? Well, there's always a balance between everything. I mean, you want to balance everything, but you've got to keep an eye on this. I go into conversations where I want to hear from the other person. I really want to. I've got some friends, very dear friends to me, who you're like pulling stuff out of them, pulling it out of them because they won't talk at all. They're like kind of sitting there like bumps on a log, and you're going, "Oh dear Lord." I could, now I could talk about myself all day long. I really could. There's no problem. I have no problem talking about myself. I was raised as a very blessed person. I mean, I've been talented. I've got some things going on. I'm pretty popular at it. But I learned early on, people just don't want to hear about you all day long because they've already heard about you all day long. And so I have learned that I'm going to ask you about what's going on in your life because you already know what's going on in my life. I don't need to know about me anymore. I really don't. Now, as a part of the podcast, I tell you about me because you need that information, okay? But I don't just go around saying, hey, guess what about me. Because you know what? It's not about me. This is about you. But there's got to be a balance. So you can strike a balance between the two, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a balance between the two. So in the last segment, we're going to give you the last 2 keys to becoming a better listener and why it is. This is a critical part of being a remarkable person and living a truly remarkable life. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. We'll be back, folks. Just a minute.
Online trading, currency data, money transfers. It's time for another hour of the world's greatest jazz, soul and blues from the world's greatest artists. This is the UK's Jazz FM.
Jazz. Love
Listening
jazz.
colour.
All right. Some of you don't know this already, but I actually roast my own coffee. I'm a Renaissance man. I was a coffee roaster at one time, and somebody was asking me about that. They're saying, "Sure, you're always drinking coffee. What kind of coffee do you drink?" And really, it's coffee I roast. If you really want to, get to understand what you're doing and the things, that you're doing, coffee. These are things you can't do. So it's obvious you probably cannot. Depending on where you live, you're probably not going to be able to grow your own corn and all that other stuff. But you can definitely make your own coffee. You can roast your own coffee. Something. And if you can, that's great. It gives you kind of a sense of satisfaction. And my wife loves it because she goes, hey, you're doing something for me. So, very cool. All right, let's do the last segment about becoming a better listener. Here we go. And welcome back, y'all. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. We were just talking about in the break here about roasting coffee, and that yes, I do roast my own coffee. So and it tastes great. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you probably you already see that I generally have my cup. It's not an ornate cup. Maybe I should get one of those cups that says Best Dad on it or something like that. But my wife bought me this, or no, one of my kids did. And it's just a black cup. It's just very utilitarian. If you like the podcast, I really encourage you to subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, all the things. We're all over the place. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and we just continue just to put out more and more content for you. That I think, and it's more than content. It's really just fulfilling stuff that can help you out. Today, we're talking about one of the chapters in our book, Living a Truly Remarkable Life. And this chapter is really about remarkable people learn how to listen, and they're very good listeners. And we've already talked about why you listen, and we're giving 6 keys to becoming a better listener. And one of the last 2, so let's talk about it because we're going to run out of time, is repeat back what you heard. Tip number 5. Repeat back what you heard. Now, why do we repeat back what you've heard? Well, because people want to know that you've actually heard them. And so this is maybe one of those techniques. You might want to say to them, so what I hear you saying is, and you repeat back what they just said. Or, oh, let me make sure I get this down. You're actually, this is what you're thinking? And they go, oh, no, that's not what I was thinking. This is what I was thinking. Or, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And people go, wow, you're actually listening to me. Oh, and it makes them feel so important that they're going to share. They could even go deeper with you. And that is just an empowering thing that you're able to say, I've actually helped somebody by me just listening to them. As a matter of fact, there was and I'm going to run out of time, but I will tell you guys, here, I'm going to write this down. Because we'll run out of time. And if you're watching us on YouTube, I'm going to share this in the break. But for time's sake, we're not going to be able to do it on this audio. There is tip number 6. Actually wait until someone else is done talking before you respond. Tip number 6, actually wait. Wait for the other person to respond before you actually say something. People hate to be cut off. And if you're cutting them off, you know what's going to happen? They're going to shut down. They're going to say, no, you know it all. You've got it all together. You don't need, as a matter of fact, I don't even know why I'm here in the conversation since you're able to have this conversation for yourself. Listening is a skill. And it is something that we all need. We all need to practice. It's critical. It's critical to having a remarkable life. And you'll read more about it in the book when we get it out. Hey, this has been Sherman Wright, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Download this podcast off of Anchor FM or Spotify or wherever you're listening to your favorite podcast at. We hope to hear from you. Go ahead and write to us at blacksuccessmagazine@gmail.com. Go to our website, blacksuccessmagazine.com. And we thank you. We'll be back again tomorrow here on our YouTube channel at 8:30 in the morning. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right, folks, as I said, I'm going to give you a little bonus thing. And I'll tell you, this is why the importance of listening. And once again, it's not a long story, but it is something that won't fit into the time constraints of a 30-minute podcast that we put out on a daily basis. So this kind of bonus thing. So this is what happens when you watch us on YouTube. There's a guy. Oh, what's his name? I'm going to forget the guy's name. He's an Indian scientist. Indian scientist. I forgot the guy's name. It's got a very funny name. I love the guy. But he tells a story about the grandma, the cloud grandmas or something like that. And what he did is he's an educator. His big thing is why do people learn, and how can I make it better? And so what he did is he found a group of grandmas. And these grandmas are, just kind of hanging out at their house. They might be retired or whatever, but they have some free time. They want to volunteer. And what these grandmas do is and then they have these students, regular students who are trying to, become better students. And what these grandmas do, and don't quote me on this because I might get the story wrong a little bit, but I'll research it and I'll actually put it in the book. As a matter of fact, I'm writing it down now. So what he did is he said, grandmas, what I want you to do is these students need to learn. And your job is, because you're not teachers, all you're going to do is encourage them, listen to what they have to say, and then say to them, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, you're doing so good. Oh, you can do it, baby. Love you, baby. Go ahead. Keep going. Do that math problem that I know nothing about. And nobody knows anything about math. Do you? I don't. But, I mean, math's actually one of my better subjects. But today's math, no. You know, unless you're a teacher, you probably don't know it. These grandmas don't know it either. What they found out was that these kids did as good or even better than kids who are in school. See what I'm saying? What happened is these kids just wanted validation. All they wanted to know was that somebody cared about them, and that's all these grandmas did. They basically were on the phone and they were saying, okay, honey, you're doing a wonderful job. Yeah, you just keep on going. And they just kept these kids validated and they kept them excited about themselves. That is the power of listening. And that's what people, that's really kind of, and if we learn that, as opposed to, hey, I want you to hear what I'm saying, I want you to hear what I'm saying, on my agenda, and the kids are kind of going, you know, they're kind of, oh, that people don't want that. That cuts off people, it cuts off their spirit, it cuts off their minds, it just cuts them off to you. They kind of push away from you and they go, look, you don't care about me. You care less about me. They want to be heard. People want to be heard. They want to feel like they're validated. And when you shut them down and you just shut off conversation because you want to get your agenda done, people shut down. And that's important. So I'll probably add that in the book. But check it out. Check us out tomorrow. We'll be back here about 8:30. So you'll be here from about 8:30 to, gosh, what time is it now? I don't know what time it is here in Vegas. So we'll be here from 8:30 to about 9:15 or something like that. Maybe about 45 minutes or so. And but subscribe to our channel here. Tell your friends about it. And we'll see you again tomorrow. It's been Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Bye-bye.